Alright, got another devlog for Space Strife, version 0.3. First things, new main menu, new fonts, some custom UI, a new space background itself. Let's get into it. So, all the levels, this is now the level select. We've only got the star system, and all the levels are now part of this world map. And in fact, the world map is basically just the levels. If I do this again, you can see these planets sort of expand to indicate that these are part of this level, intro level. So if we start, zoom out a little bit again, you can see there's the sun right there. And if I go here and just go leave level, there we go. So the world map is also, the level select is also just the levels. So yeah. I'm not going to play through all of it because it takes a bit of time. And you can just go play this on itch right now. But I will show the new equipment screen or tank upgrade screen or whatever I'm going to call it. Yeah, so in order to make it something that would be more mobile friendly, I decided to build this little wheel thing. So we can, buy a new tank here if I had money, or I can upgrade this tank. It gives you a little rough description of what will be upgraded. It doesn't sound like much. Ooh, yep, and time is still progressing slowly. So yeah, but there's new planet shaders. There's some Fresnel effect there. There's custom lighting, which thanks to Ted Makes Games for the custom lighting code for URP. Let's get this far at least. Before I show the custom lighting, I'll show off. There we go, little upgrade effect. But yes, if I show the custom lighting. By default, in Unity, the URP lighting is very physics-based. It's 1 over r squared, distance falls off. So if I want the planets closest to be lit up, I have to set it to, let's say, 1,000 intensity. But that means all the planets, even just that bit further away, are still basically total darkness. But if I want the planets, say, in this top left up here to be actually bright enough, I maybe have to set the intensity to like 5,000. And then all the planets down here just turn into like a white glow because they're so overexposed compared to the planets further away. So in order to make this work, you can still see that some of these planets are maybe a little overexposed, really. But in order to make this work, I just changed it from 1 over r squared to just 1 over r. It just falls off. It still falls off pretty quick, but, it's not physics-based. But, this is already clearly very stylized. The star itself, I'm making use of a noise shader, which I've gotten from Keijiro, who seems to be someone who maybe works at Unity Japan. I did already have my noise shaders from Tailspin, but for whatever reason on iOS, because I guess I never tested it, Tailspin on iOS, those shaders just didn't work. They were doing some uint fancy shenanigans that I guess the graphics, the GPU and iOS just didn't like. So I replaced it with some more regular float-based noise shaders, which may be slower, but I haven't perceived the difference. Plus, it's not a major component of any rendering, this noise here. And yeah, it now seems to work across all platforms, except for DirectX 3D. And that's another whole thing. Windows likes to be different than every other platform. So right now on Windows, the Windows build by default uses Vulkan. You can force it into DirectX 11. But I had some other weird issues with DirectX 11. Even though I got the noise shader to be happy again, DirectX 11 just had other weird rendering issues, and I'm just like, I don't know why. It works on all the other platforms except for Windows. But Vulkan on Windows seems to work fine. Anyway, I've got some basic stats. I probably want to fill some more out. I do actually record which weapon was used for all these, but I just wanted to have some stats for now. This is not very useful, not very interesting. I don't know. But I do have a handy dandy. Oh, I cleared the game, cleared the level. Level actually still going in the background because that's kind of a hack. I've got a little debug hack for that. Anyway, it tells you that a new level has been unlocked, the Moon Maze, and a new tank has been unlocked. So if we go here, now we can see the moon maze. And this one focuses on the gas giant instead. So it kind of puts you off to the side. I wanted to sort of play around with like more puzzle-based things of like, you know, your tank is over here on one side and actually what you're trying to target is over here. So it kind of gives me some more like different, I don't know, it makes the space a little bit different. Anyway, we'll get a closer look of the Gore's tank. You can see it's got tiny little turrets, and it just fires a whole bunch of little projectiles. Whoa. Probably need to slow that down a little bit. That's a little bit vicious there. That's zoom in, zoom out. But yeah, if we make some more money, because obviously you get $1 per purple cube destroyed. You get another one. Oh, one got through. Yeah, they're all individually calculated where they're going. I thought that it would end up being potentially too intensive. Just if you end up having a lot of these tanks and just having a lot of these tiny projectiles, but no, it seems to render just fine. So yeah, the only problem with the Gore's tank is that the bullets don't go very far and they're not very accurate. So trying to hit this spawner, might need to upgrade them so they go a little bit further. It's a bit of a it's a scatter shot approach, and you can use the bolt tank, and the bolt tank will reach, but it is still a bit awkward to get across and around to the other side of the gas giant. So I'm still figuring out what the best positioning for that is, but I mean the Gore's tank will work. And yeah, it's the whole point of this being a bit of a moon maze, a bit of a puzzle, and dealing with that fact. So yeah, anyway, I won't play through to the end of this level either, but other than pointing out that the sun does have gravity in this, and that's the same star that will show up in all the other levels for this star system. So yeah, it's just, hey, we did it, good job. Next level is called Crowded. The bolt tank now has an upgrade, and a new tank, the rocket tank, has been upgraded. So let's check that out. Now we can play this one. Back to the center. I've given the rocket, doesn't look the best up close, and I'm still figuring out if I like this trail effect really, but it is at least distinct from the wave indicators. You're not going to get those two things confused, I don't think. Got some new sound effects, as you probably can tell from all the other things. Still trying to figure out the best way of handling lots of noise at the same time. Like, I like the fact that like every single fire makes a sound, but also when you have a lot of weapons all going off at once, it gets very cacophonous, very noisy. Yeah, so still trying to figure out the best way of handling that. As you can see here, the rocket has a hard time overcoming the spawner's output. I'm still trying to figure out the best way of like teaching the player that like, well, maybe, I mean, they still managed to brute force then, but maybe I need to tweak it so you can't. So you possibly need to have it where you need a second tank, maybe another rocket tank, maybe a third rocket tank, or a fourth rocket tank. That's just 4. Yeah, you can see now it's just all the sounds all at once, and it starts to get a bit much. But yes, this is supposed to be a map for the rockets. Like, there's lots of different gravity sources. Again, in theory, the sun is down here. The star is down there. But yeah, let's give one of these an upgrade. Now you can see the sound is slightly off because one is firing just a bit more frequently than the others. It's a little chaotic. Anyway, let's, hey, we did it. So this one unlocks a new star system. The bolt tank gets another upgrade, the Gore's tank gets an upgrade, and we have a new laser tank. So this is supposed to be like the intro level, the intro set of levels, and then in theory there would be, you know, like each star system would kind of focus, hopefully have a bit of a theme. Still not figuring what all the themes would be. Oh, everything is still just happening. Now we're good. But now we can select both of these stars. And then back here at the main menu, I wanted it to be that like hey, there's one star that's big, and then like there'd be a bunch, like maybe 5, maybe more than 5. Let's say 5 stars that are like just could be foreground stars, but it turns out they're actually other levels, and you can't see all the planets around them until you select one, and then they go away again. So we can see also shots fired quite a lot because it was all Gore's tanks. Here, not so many, but yeah, the stats all work. And this one is basically the same last level that was in the previous build, so this hasn't really changed much, other than sound effects. And usually my go-to is to start with two rockets. I also changed up the laser effect a little bit to make it look a little more imposing. But yeah, I won't go through and play all of this one because this is quite a long level and it's a little bit tricky. Still trying to figure out the right balance for everything. So hey, we did it. And this time, because it's considered the last level at the moment, it goes, you won! And you still can unlock a new tank, which is the rapid laser. But here it says, thanks for playing Space Strife. You win! As there are still enemies around. And then it just takes you back to the main menu. Yeah, so that's the game in a nutshell at the moment. Still trying to figure out the best way of handling all the things. There still aren't many options, other than I've changed the UI for them a little. Reset player basically resets all the progress, which I won't do just yet, but actually if I go back to this level you start off with some money. Can actually show you the rapid laser tank, the least tested tank, but it has 2 turrets and they move independently, and if you can see that, you can make them point at each other and go hello. And they basically look a lot like the laser tank, except they fire more often. But they do less damage, but they have a similar effect of if you want to do kind of like rapid fire snipering in a way. Also, I really need to tweak some of the audio balancing. That was probably very loud. So let's just like add some more in. It'll be fine. Yeah. Also, those muzzle flashes are very, very bright. But if we focus on just one, let's focus on this one here to the top right. It does alternate between which one does fire. Let's see. What does it look like? Oh, that's very loud. Oh, I don't think it likes. I think something weird is happening with the audio. It's just like, nah, that's too much. But it is kind of fun, which is, which was the point. Okay, all right, that's enough of that. Hey, we still won. Thank you so much. So one thing to note, like if I come back here and go, hey, I've already played this level, it'll just say level cleared. There won't be any new unlocks. They'll be like, hey, you've already unlocked it. So that was another thing. And also when you've considered beating a level, all of this does get saved. So that's why there is a reset player here, because I do actually save the progress. And any level, if I add an unlock to a level that you've already played, you'll get that unlock as well. So it kind of knows, like, these are all the unlocks that you should have based on what levels you finished. So if I add an unlock later or I tweak things around, you'll still have that unlock. That's assuming I don't mess around with the level IDs. Anyway, that's the game as it currently is. Future work will be obviously more sound effects and also probably better handling of cacophonous, noisy sounds. I've got ideas. I want to have more star systems. Really, it's just more content. I've got ideas for adding in like asteroids. So maybe like with this level here, it's like you can just fire around it. But what if I had a level where you can choose? Do you spend time trying to shoot your way through an asteroid field that's blocking you, or do you go around it? But asteroids, if they're now part of the level and destructible, need to have it where they get reset. And ideally, I want to have that reset like look kind of okay. So it's kind of like all these little things here if they want to do that. I've got this new UI, which is really, I basically just made a button texture that looked kind of sci-fi but very like nondescript. And I'm like, I'd need to do more work on that. Yeah, and probably more work for controller. In theory, this does work on the controller here, but like not probably in the way you might like. It's not just you push the button, a joystick in a direction and it goes, yep, this is what you're selecting. It doesn't know that. These are just buttons that happen to move around the screen. So yeah, there's definitely still work to be done. I probably want to have it with the little tank wheels move as well. If you can get a bit closer to them, that should probably make the models look at least a little bit better. Also want to make it that the tanks are a bit more visible. I do actually deliberately mess with the ambient color for tanks. They do have it where they don't get too dark, but that doesn't mean that they're still necessarily that easy to see either. And I guess when they're shooting, you can kind of tell where they are, but still trying to figure out. I don't want them to get too lost in the noise, especially on mobile. They're very small. But yeah, also this UI up here, like with money, and I probably want a new abstract thing other than money. Yeah, anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye.